February 11th, Exodus 26 verse 15 to 28 verse 14. You are to make planks of acacia wood for the tabernacle. The length of each plank is to be 15 feet, and the width of each plank 27 feet. Each plank must be connected together with 2 tenons. Do the same for all the planks of the tabernacle. Make the planks for the tabernacle as follows: 20 planks for the south side, and make 40 silver bases under the 20 planks. 2 bases under the first plank for its 2 tenons, and 2 bases under the next plank for its 2 tenons. 20 planks for the second side of the tabernacle, the north side, along with their 40 silver bases, 2 bases under the first plank and 2 bases under each plank. And make 6 planks for the west side of the tabernacle. Make 2 additional planks for the 2 back corners of the tabernacle. They are to be paired at the bottom and joined together at the top in a single ring. So it should be for both of them. They will serve as the 2 corners. There are to be 8 planks with their silver bases, 16 bases, 2 bases under the first plank, and 2 bases under each plank. You are to make 5 cross bars of acacia wood for the planks on one side of the tabernacle, 5 cross bars for the planks on the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 cross bars for the planks of the back side of the tabernacle on the west. The central crossbar is to run through the middle of the planks from one end to the other. Then overlay the planks with gold and make their rings of gold as the holders for the crossbars. Also overlay the crossbars with gold. You are to set up the tabernacle according to the plan for it that you have been shown on the mountain. You are to make a veil of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finally spun linen with a design of cherubim worked into it. Hang it on 4 gold-plated posts of acacia wood that have gold hooks and that stand on 4 silver bases. Hang the veil under the clasps and bring the ark of the testimony there behind the veil. So the veil will make a separation for you between the holy place and the most holy place. Put the mercy seat on the ark of the testimony in the holy place. Place the table outside the veil and the lampstand on the south side of the tabernacle opposite the table. Put the table on the north side. For the entrance to the tent, you are to make a screen embroidered with blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely spun linen. Make 5 posts of acacia wood for the screen and overlay them with gold. Their hooks are to be gold, and you are to cast 5 bronze bases for them. You are to construct the altar of acacia wood. The altar must be square, 7.5 feet long and 7.5 feet wide. It must be 4.5 feet high. Make horns for it on its 4 corners. The horns are to be of one piece. Overlay it with bronze. Make it pots for removing ashes, and its shovels, basins, meat forks, and fire pans. Make all its utensils of bronze. Construct a gate for it of bronze mesh, and make 4 bronze rings on the mesh at its 4 corners. Set it below under the altar's ledge, so that the mesh comes halfway up the altar. Then make poles for the altar, poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with bronze. The poles are to be inserted into the rings, so that the poles are on 2 sides of the altar when it is carried. Construct the altar with boards so that it is hollow. They are to make it just as it was shown to you on the mountain. You are to make the courtyard for the tabernacle. Make the hangings on the south of the courtyard out of finely spun linen, 150 feet long on that side, There are to be 20 posts and 20 bronze bases. The hooks and the bands of the posts must be silver. Then make the hangings on the north side 150 feet long. There are to be 20 posts and 20 bronze bases. The hooks and bands of the posts must be silver. Make the hangings of the courtyard on the west side 75 feet long, including their 10 posts and 10 bases. Make the hangings of the courtyard on the east side toward the sunrise 75 feet. Make the hangings on one side of the gate 22.5 feet, including their 3 posts and their 3 bases, and make the hangings on the other side 22.5 feet, including their 3 posts and their 3 bases. The gate of the courtyard is to have a 30-foot screen embroidered with gold, with blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely spun linen. It is to have 4 posts, including their 4 bases. All the posts around the courtyard are to be banded with silver and have silver hooks and bronze bases. The length of the courtyard is to be 150 feet, the width 75 feet at each end, and the height 7.5 feet, all of it made of finely spun linen. The bases of the posts must be bronze. All the tools of the tabernacle for every use, and all its tent pegs, as well as all the tent pegs of the courtyard, are to be made of bronze. You are to command the Israelites to bring you pure oil from crushed olives for the light, in order to keep the lamp burning continually. In the tent of meeting outside the veil, that is in front of the testimony, Aaron and his sons are to tend the lamp from evening until morning before the Lord. This is to be a permanent statute for the Israelites throughout their generations. Have your brother Aaron with his sons come to you from the Israelites to serve me as priest. Aaron, his sons Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar. Make holy garments for your brother Aaron for glory and beauty. You are to instruct all the skilled craftsmen whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom to make Aaron's garment for consecrating him to serve me as priest. These are the garments that they must make: a breastpiece, an ephod, a robe, a specially woven tunic, a turban, and a sash. They are to make holy garments for your brother Aaron and his sons so that they may serve me as priests. They should use gold, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and fine linen. They are to make their ephod of finely spun linen embroidered with gold and with blue, purple, and scarlet yarn. It must have 2 shoulder pieces attached to its 2 edges so that it can be joined together. The artistically woven waistband that is on the ephod must be of 1 piece, according to the same workmanship, of gold, of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and of finely spun linen. Take 2 onyx stones and engrave on them the names of Israel's sons, 6 of their names on the first stone, and the remaining 6 on the second stone, in order of their birth. Engrave the 2 stones with the names of Israel's sons, as a gem cutter engraves a seal. Mount them, surrounded with gold filigree settings. Fasten both stones on the shoulder pieces of the ephod as memorial stones for the Israelites. Aaron will carry their names on his 2 shoulders before the Lord as a reminder. Fashion gold filigree settings and 2 chains of pure gold. You will make them of braided cord work and attach the cord chains to the settings. Psalm 21 verse 1 to 7. Lord, the king finds joy in your strength. How greatly he rejoices in your victory. You have given him his heart's desire, and have not denied the request of his lips. Selah. For you met him with rich blessings. You placed a crown of pure gold on his head. You asked, he asked you for life, and you gave it to him. Length of days forever and ever. His glory is great through your victory. You confer majesty and splendor on him. You give him blessings forever. You cheer him with joy in your presence. For the king relies on the Lord. Through the faithful love of the Most High, he is not shaken. Proverbs 4 verse 25 to 27. Let your eyes look forward. Fix your gaze straight ahead. Carefully consider the path of your feet, and all your ways will be established. Don't turn to the right or to the left. Keep your feet away from evil. Matthew 25 verse 14 to 30. For it is just like a man going on a journey. He called his own slaves and turned over his possessions to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2 talents, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability. Then he went on a journey. Immediately the man who had received 5 talents went, put them to work, and earned 5 more. In the same way, the man who earned two more. But the man who had received 1 talent went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with him. The man who had received 5 talents approached, presented 5 more talents, and said, Master, you gave me 5 talents. Look, I've earned 5 more talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Share your master's joy. Then the man with 2 talents also approached him. He said, Master, you gave me 2 talents. Look, I've earned 2 more talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Share your master's joy. Then the man who had received 1 talent also approached and said, Master, I know you are a difficult man, reaping where you haven't sown and gathering where you haven't scattered seed. So I was afraid and went off and hid your talent in the ground. Look, you have what is yours. But the master replied to him, You evil, lazy slave, if you knew that I would reap where I haven't sown and gather where I haven't scattered, then you should have deposited my money with the bankers. And when I returned, I would have received my money back with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has more will be given, and he will have more than enough. But from the one who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. And throw this good-for-nothing slave into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Don't go on his ground. Let your eyes look forward. Fix your gaze straight ahead. Proverbs 4 verse 25. Today we look at the issue of sexual experience and its need to be kept within marriage. Some temptations cannot be avoided. Some, however, can. Anatole France has a story in which God and the devil are talking of a beautiful young girl. God asks, How dare you tempt such a lovely creature as that? The devil says, Well, she came on to my ground. R.W. Everwood tells the story. A young man seeking his fortune was traveling across an oasis at which a beautiful girl sat spinning on a loom. He asked for a drink and she said, Certainly, providing you let me put these threads around you that I am spinning. He agreed, thinking he could easily brush away the thin cashmere threads as one would brush away a spider's webs. After drinking the water, he fell asleep and awoke to find himself tied by thick, strong cords, and the beautiful, what was more, the beautiful young girl had changed into a disgusting and ugly hag. The best way to deal with temptation is not to go toward it. Paul's advice to young Timothy was this: run from these things. John Ruskin says, no one can honestly ask to be delivered from temptation unless he has honestly and firmly determined to do the best he can to keep out of it. My advice is every unmarried man and woman reading these lines, and married people too, is this: keep out of the devil's territory. Don't go onto his ground. Prayer. Oh God, make me alert to the dangers that beset my path, and when I move toward them, unexpectedly grant that all the warning bells may ring within my heart. I know you will do your part. Help me to do mine. In Jesus' name, I ask it. Amen.